Yeah, it's charged. If it's not,
Oh, if it's
this
not,
one's not charged.
if it's not green all the way, oh, it's working.
Yeah, turn.
I can't even tell what kind of faucet it is, but that comes out. That's a cartridge.
Yeah. So you twist it out.
Well, it depends. It could be a clip holding it back.
Yeah. Okay.
Calling the Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors business meeting. Thank you. I'm calling the Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, January 20th, 2026 to order. Could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which Robin Lindsay will lead us in? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with prior to coming out for the Board of Supervisors meeting, we had an executive session to be informed from our solicitor about two matters of potential litigation. So the next thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for September 16th, 2025. As I said in a prior meeting, we're going to have a number of these where I was the only sitting supervisor. May I have a motion to approve the business meeting minutes for September 16th, 2025?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for 9/16/2025 for the record because 4 of us were not present for that meeting.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
My apologies for being late in the back room. I'm just curious, I was reading the minutes, and Supervisor Campbell, you spoke at those minutes as a member of the general public requesting just some consideration of how the township works towards whether supervisors declare conflicts of interest prior to or at the time of conflict. Did you get that properly resolved for yourself, or do you see that as an issue that might be something we'd want to consider moving forward?
So my understanding from that meeting is that, it was recommended that possibly additional training could be done for the township staff and for everyone, and that our ethics code covers all of the supervisors from a conflict of interest standpoint. So I'm satisfied in terms of our coverage, but certainly as we go forward, I think it should be something that should be periodically done in terms of training, for staff on an ongoing basis so that everyone is aware. So that would be my recommendation.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All in favor of approving the minutes for September 16th, 2025 business meeting?
Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda is our public comment. Public comment should be reserved for any items not on the agenda. Anything that we have on the agenda, please save until we get to that specific agenda item. Thank you very much.
Anthony Cristillo, 3940 Walnut. I want to go back to last week's meeting. I wasn't able to make it, but I want to speak on the resolution, for whatever reason it was passed, to pay up to 8 hours for township employees to do volunteer work. I commend the two supervisors that either voted to table it or not vote a no on it. But help us understand how that makes sense for the township to spend this money and why it was so important to pass this resolution in the first real meeting of this new board. With everything else that we have going on in this township that we could use this monies for, it just makes no sense why this resolution was brought and passed. Help me understand it. Help us taxpayers understand why that was so important. With the economic development that we need, the roadways that need attention, that the previous board members were working on, has anybody picked that up to run with it?
I mean, I can jump in and give you my thoughts on that. So providing those 8 hours, to me, helps to demonstrate from a township standpoint that we are really focused and interested in what our... Go ahead.
Let me just interrupt you, because I have 5 minutes.
Okay,
And I know what you're going to say.
okay.
Volunteer is just that, volunteer. And I think it's great. We should all do it.
Sure.
We do it. But spending taxpayer money to cover it, now, in the grand scheme of things, in a $50 million budget, is that what we're working with here in the township? It's a very small number.
Mm-hmm.
But you watch your pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves.
Okay, I'm gonna, because I think, okay, they're gonna volunteer for 8 hours. Are they getting paid? They're getting paid their regular 8 hours. They are not getting paid on top
I
of that
understand
8
that.
hours.
Yeah, I understand.
Yes.
But give them a day off and let them do it on their own time. And why was it so important to pass that? Of all the issues facing the township, why was that so important? Was there an issue years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? They weren't getting paid then, were they? To do volunteer work. They always got off to do volunteer work, right? Am I right on that? Did they get off to do volunteer work?
I was here 11 years, and no.
Okay, so
No.
I
So-
just don't understand how this was such an important issue.
So
That's
again,
it.
You got the way I look at it, it's an investment, and it's an additional investment in our employees, right? And in terms of the return on that investment, I think it helps with retention of employees, morale of employees.
Nah, I disagree
so-
with
so-
you.
so-
I disagree. It's
oh,
taxpayer money. It's taxpayer
understand
money,
that.
bottom line.
I understand that. Yep.
And you, of all people, should understand that with your background, right?
No, look, the investment, we will get, in my opinion, a significant return on our investment based upon the morale of our employees.
One other last question I have. Has anybody reached out to specifically the previous supervisor, John the Jim, to speak on the issues that he had going forward with the road issues? Has anybody, are we taking that on? Are we continuing with that?
We're still having conversation with Mr. Najim because he still sits on the sewer authority, so.
So
when-
you reached out to him and spoke with him and have meetings set up?
You didn't let me finish my sentence, sir.
Well, I'm waiting. I'm
Okay.
waiting. I can't wait.
So, when he resolves those issues, I know that he will circle back to us and give us the information. There are some things that were left open, so I know that he left this board with some issues unresolved, so I know that he's following up on them.
So
Thank
you have reached out to him and spoke with him on it?
I haven't reached out to him.
Okay.
I know that he will.
That was the question.
Right,
The question
he will
was,
circle
did you
back
reach
to us.
out to him?
No, not yet.
Haven't. So no one on this board has reached out to John.
No, that's not correct.
You did?
I have.
Okay.
And we actually had a meeting set up prior to our induction, but things got busy, and I asked him whether I could postpone, get my feet under me, and be back in touch.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you did.
Thank you.
That's all I have. But that resolution that you passed with spending taxpayer money here in the township, that should be, you should rescind that.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Well, he's moved quicker. All right.
Thanks for saying that was quicker. That's the first time in my life that I've been told I was quick. Frank Smith, 5730 Kenwood Avenue. Yeah, I was unable to make the meeting last week, but I was able to get caught up and reading. I did just have a question on the whole volunteer thing, and it goes back to as well as what's the definition of a volunteer. And the one meeting I was at, you guys denied a boost in pay and because of the way the township is, and I agreed with that. It is taxpayer dollars. I volunteered for 14 years at a baseball organization, hundreds of hours. I was doing it for service of my community. You guys are there for service of the community, am I correct? So the term volunteer, I was a teacher for 7 years. I'm not the smartest person, so I use a dictionary for a lot of big words. But volunteer, my opinion is you shouldn't get paid, you're volunteering. Like, I ran a volunteer organization for 14 years. To add any monies or whatever, I think that resolution, when I was talking to my other neighbors who were able to make it, I don't even know this gentleman, but it was kind of hasty. Like, I don't know if it was nerdy, but it didn't, the two people who did table it, awesome. There should be no, my money shouldn't be going towards that. If you're going to volunteer, you're going to volunteer, right? You know, especially you, how many volunteers for the baseball organization that you run. Like, you're there to serve. You all are here to serve. Any monies, any addendums, any of that to help supplement that, I think is inadequate use of our tax dollars. That's all. I just wanted to express as a taxpayer. You were supplemental from when I was with the sewer and Dolly and all the mess. You were in that corner. serving. You walk the street. You talk to me at my house. That's what it's all about. You're not looking to get reimbursed to help for morale or anything else. And I get where you're coming from. But there shouldn't be any financial reimbursement out of the tax dollars. Have the township give you vacation day, time off, comp day, whatever. But it shouldn't come out of the general kitty, whether you think it's 6 and 1, half a dozen the other. I just don't think there should be anything passed to help pay for that situation. You volunteer, you're serving the taxpayers, and that's just my opinion. And I appreciate you letting me voice my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Madam Chair, may I just want to clarify one thing, and perhaps the public is aware of this, but just based on the gentleman's comment, I don't think anyone up here sits because of the pay, but supervisors in a second-class township are compensated, and we are compensated at $5,000 per year. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that because I understand. I appreciate that. I just didn't want anyone to get a misperception that, okay, thank you.
Is there any other
I didn't see the Michael Daly 5893 Shope Place.
Michael Daly?
Yes.
Thank you.
I didn't see the fireworks on the agenda. I just wanted to raise some comments since I wasn't at the meeting last week. I don't need answers now, but this is just some different ideas being tossed out there from me. Regarding the survey, there was less than 500 people that had completed it from the numbers that I have seen. If that's correct, that is not a sample representation of the total population of the township. Next item, maybe the township considers joining up with a bordering township to split the cost, or finding some business sponsors for the fireworks. They would also have to obviously figure out where to hold it. Do we just need our ID to get in? How to get tickets? What about family, friends as well? Some other neighboring townships had things. They didn't have it on the 4th, but they had it on Labor Day weekend. Swatara Township, Middletown, and Harrisburg all did theirs Labor Day. With the time crunch that we're coming up against, maybe that's a possibility as well. New Year's, Harrisburg had them, and somewhere in Lancaster County had them. And then also regarding the laser show, in 2022, Harrisburg tried a laser show, and it did not go over well, and that is on the internet. If anybody had questions for me, feel free, or that's all I have for now.
Okay. If I may, Mr. Daly, there was 982 residents that took the survey and 73 non-residents. Okay, I just want, because you said under 500, so I just wanted to clarify. Just wanted to clarify the numbers.
That was either from Penn Live or ABC 27. I do apologize.
Okay. And 543 were no, and 512 were yes.
Okay.
We extended the length of the time that the survey was up, so people had quite a bit of time to participate should they have desired. All right. Any other public comment?
Anthony Cristillo again, 3940. I wanted to speak on that fireworks. It's a shame that, you know, you just let the problems from last year and the years before, and I know it was a nightmare, but I think it's a simple solution to it, especially with the 250th of America. This year of any year, we should have it. But cancel the food trucks, cancel the music, make it the old-fashioned fireworks show that it was years ago when my kids were young and they went, and it, you know, just a good time. But we don't need the food trucks, we don't need the music, you don't need to make it an all-day event, and that's where you run into the trouble.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Bill Bostic, 6204 Elmer Avenue in Linglestown. Just a couple items to bring up tonight. Just as a journalist, also a resident, I'd like you to consider at maybe the next workshop meeting, outlining what as a group, hopefully you've had a chance to talk about goals and what you want to try to achieve now that you're in office, just what kind of outline you have as far as key things you're going to be working on. I think that would be helpful to the public. The other thing, and this does apply to the township, however, the origins of what I'm talking about have to do with a school district issue, and that's the Wenrick Street development that's the prior board passed the master plan, and now the developer's developing their preliminary plan, which will provide a lot of the details you'll be looking at eventually. Unfortunately, with that development on the horizon, Lower Paxton Township and the rest of the school district, we're facing a situation where there's probably going to be some school building taking place. I know in Lingelstown at least, Lingelstown Middle School may be beyond its capacity slightly, and there's not a whole lot of room at Lingelstown Elementary. And I think that may be across the district where we're getting close to maxing out these buildings. And of course, when you add 770 homes, you're looking at something that's going to push it over the top, and they're going to have to take action. And in fact, they are taking action. On December 2nd, they authorized school officials to begin to look for properties to either purchase or take by eminent domain that they could add on and provide some more classrooms, some more seats. So they're starting to work on it. The issue I want to bring up is that maybe not everyone knows, but developers, when they come in with a plan, they have no requirement, and I don't think developers on their own put money in toward school projects, school building projects. There's nothing that demands them to do that. Unlike what you'll be dealing with, they do have to do street improvements, park and rec, and that kind of thing, and other things that come up during the planning process, but nothing when it comes to impact fees related to school building and school impacts that something that's 770 homes is going to push on this district. I had a friend call me over the summer. Similar things are happening in other communities around our area. In this case, was in the Dillsburg area, the northern York County School District. And his question was, is there anything in the state government and the state laws that would allow a municipality or school district to do these fees? Basically, the answer is no. There's some legislation that's been sitting there for a long, long time, but no action on it. So now that I'm going to have a little bit more time, I'm not going to be working day to day for an employer. One of the things I want to work on is lobbying for the state government, the state house, state senate to take a look at enabling municipalities and school districts to work with developers so that they do contribute financially to school impacts. This isn't a unique idea. States across the country are doing it. California, Washington, nearby Maryland, Florida, just as an example. So this isn't a new idea, it just hasn't come to Pennsylvania. Now, your role in this is that, as I've already emailed, based on a video I did last night, Representative Joe Kerwin and Representative Justin Fleming, to alert them to what I'm attempting to do and see if they'll come alongside me. I still need to, just as I'm talking, I have to get a hold of Senator Kim. But if something that you consider over time, you could endorse or back that kind of movement with the state
Mr. Bostic,
government.
you have one more minute.
That's fine, thank you. I'm almost done. So yeah, your support over time, I'm not asking for a decision now, but something I would like to work with this board on as we develop this initiative to try and get developers to contribute financially to school impacts. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there any more public comment?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Eric Kessler, running Pump Farm, Lingelstown. I wasn't going to speak. One thing I just want you to be aware of, there are, for example, responding to Bill's input, there are park and rec fees and so forth. But whenever you add fees to developers, just be aware you're increasing the cost of housing. And I hear this constantly. There's not affordable housing in Lingelstown. you're going to continue to outprice people from living here. Just bear that in mind. Which brings me to my other thought, which is there was a discussion from the last group about getting an economic development officer, not authority, but an officer, a staff member, employee. Where do we stand on that? Because items like the Colonial Park Mall that's being talked about a lot, other vacant properties, or other things on Bill's podcast, they all need not volunteer organizations, but they need a professional staff member with experience, with a track record, whomever you hire. What is the status of you hiring someone?
Right now, we have some other staffing issues that we're taking care of. We have a list of vacancies that we're working on filling, RFQs and RFPs that we're getting ready to issue. So we know we have vacancies, so it's on the list of to-dos.
Okay.
All right.
All I ask is to do, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
And look, I'm big on economic development as well. You know, my understanding is that there are going to be a series of steps that we need to take, to consider, to talk about, to plan for, you know, the growth in the economic activity within Lower Paxton Township. So at the end of the day, you know, that position, I think, may be a natural progression.
There is a return on investment
Correct.
in that type of position.
Correct.
That's why I push it forward.
Correct.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Kessler, I did talk to Mr. Goshert today. I had the same question, and he said that right now there wasn't anything, but I did tell him it needs to be here sooner than later because of the mall.
Well, the mall is only one
I know,
item.
but everything else, but
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the top of the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other public comment?
Good evening. Gene Stilp from Fisher Creek Valley. I'm not a member of the of your township, but however, we're both impacted by the effect that the proposed reopening 3 Mile Island is having on the school district. If I could take it aside for a second, just to let's respond to Mr. Bostic for a second, that township governments these days and planning commissions are requiring developers to provide estimated impact of their development on school districts. It's something that your township could do. I'm here tonight to pass out two things. The first is the statement I gave to the previous board back in September, and the second thing is the recent filing against the school district in regard to what they're doing about the unfunded mandate of 3 Mile Island. If I take a second and bring this up to you, you can review it at your leisure in your homes, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
What happens is that the school districts across the region affected by this, the 10-mile zone, think of one thing: how to get the students, the the people out of the buildings into the beyond the 10-mile zone. So that's what they think about. All right, protecting that, if you will, that their people. But guess what? School districts also have responsibility. The school board also has responsibility to protect the assets of the school district and the taxpayer. Central Dauphin School District, for example, which we all belong to, has $600 million worth of assets, buildings. You cannot physically move buildings out of a school district, okay? You can't move them beyond the 10-mile zone. Likewise, how this impacts you. You, as township board members, et cetera, have not only responsibility to your citizens, your businesses here, to think about this, but also the assets that belong to the taxpayers. They're not movable. So you have this ability to do the following, all right? And it's explained in those papers there, that you have the ability to not take this risk. You actually have the ability to take a step out of the evacuation plan, okay? Now, your solicitor's sitting right there. He can brief you on this, why you have a responsibility in the evacuation plan and why you do not have responsibility. You have responsibility to the regular risks of the day, but when it comes to this maximum risk that's laid on you as an unfunded mandate, if I may add that, you have the ability to say, hey, wait a minute, we're not going to participate. And what that does, it throws a wrench in things, okay? In 1985, Suffolk County and New York City, and Long Island said, we're not going to participate in the evacuation plan for Shoreham nuclear plant. Nuclear plant never opened because the people couldn't be evacuated, all right? Besides that, it would destroy all the assets of the businesses and the governments in Long Island if anything happened. So you do not have to take that big risk. So it's something to think about. I'm on there for my contact information, so you're always welcome to call day or night, 24/7, and have discussions about this. But I want to bring this to your attention that it is an option that is not being considered by this board at this time. So think about that. You have an impact at the school district level, impact at the township level, impact at the taxpayer level especially. So there's something to chew on, okay? Thank you so much, and Happy New Year, and good luck in your proceedings during the year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any questions? No? Okay. Good.
Give us opportunity to go through your material. Any other public comment? Mr. Miller?
Good evening, William Miller, 4311 Crestview. I'll just keep touching on this one topic every meeting. I talked with Penn Waste last year, and again, the manager there had suggested to me to ask that we could possibly somehow have pickups made prior to the first week of April. Everyone's doing their cleaning at Easter. They're going to be out there going crazy, and it puts a phenomenal amount of pressure on those men in those trucks and the ladies. There's ladies out there too. And just to try to get this stuff out there, a lot less noise and so on. I also had mentioned that perhaps, I don't know if there is any community representatives. You have a wealth of information from people. We've had some ideas to show the people of that community that, you know, we're going to do something about something. I don't know what's going on. I know things are being planned, but the general person doesn't know, such as controlling those gates so those guys can't go out there at 6 in the morning. The residents there have a right to some privacy and some quiet in the morning. We have some technology. My point is, if we do a few things that are obvious, it's going to start showing the people there that we are doing something. Even when people spray a line on the road, the talk starts. You know, what's going on? People get concerned. So it's nice to create that kind of thought and dialogue. I drove around today, I drove around yesterday, and I was extremely disappointed. As Dr. Stewart said, you know, safety is of paramount importance on our sidewalks. So many businesses are not doing their sidewalks. The schools wait until this morning to do their sidewalks, so all the stuff is frozen. They're also responsible, I would think, for the 24-hour rule, you know, give or take, you know, who knows. But I mean, I challenge you, drive up and down 22, that stuff's frozen. Drive up and down Linglestown Road, everywhere. The worst, I've talked about Best Buy. I mean, the sidewalk's damaged, heaved, cracked, crooked. People use that. There was damage to the traffic crossing light there too, I think. The button's not working there. A resident came up to me when you're heading towards Giant. I just think that people need a better shake. And again, your words the other week, safety, that's it. And I feel that, and we're going to go out there. No, we're not going to write everybody up. When we get those notices, I get it in my text. Let's start texting people to remind them. Let's do a banner when you go to the website, first thing you see. All residents, commercial and residential, you have 24 hours. I drove through Linglestown. The far end of Linglestown, there's 5 houses in a row, not a sidewalk done. And they didn't have to pay for those sidewalks, but yet they still can't shovel them. I will mention the property across, I guess I can do that, across from Turkey Hill on Devonshire. Hasn't been done in 2 years. It's a rental, van, trailer, cockeyed on the thing, but that's where kids walk. And that's why I drove around specifically to the schools. I'd just like to make sure a lot of that is done. Focus around the school. If you have to send a letter, it's focus around the schools, because a lot of people use those. And again, we're a very, very ambulatory township. I'll jump down to Wenrick Street. Eric Turman was here, the superintendent, and to piggyback, he mentioned that the amount of money to enlarge the high school, which is maxed out, these are his words, he was here, as $100 million. $100 million. And the elementary school that's needed, that's a lot of money. And then what are you going to do with the middle school? And there's projects elsewhere. So we really have to think about, working with them hand in hand to come up with something that's doable both for them and the taxpayer. I will say that on Wenrick Street, I don't feel that burden should be all on the taxpayer. But I'm not a developer. Developers develop. They do a good job. But who pays for all that in the end on Wenrick Street? It's hilly, it's up and down. I mean, there's cul-de-sacs in the NDD, which I don't think belong there when I read through it, the Lancaster one. But even though the project's approved, they really can't start building anything until someone figures out how wide that road has to be to meet those future needs. You're talking even 700 homes. You're talking 1,400 vehicles plus another 7 for the kids that's there, maybe 2. You have multi-generational homes in this township, a lot of cars in some homes. That's what they do, and that's their deal. It's not my business what they do.
Mr. Miller, you have 15 more seconds.
Oh, gosh. Okay, then I better bid you adieu. But I think we have to look at that hard and get that planned out for the 5-foot sidewalk and for the bike path along that road before they, because once they start grading, they can't go back and regrade. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller, I was down Colonial Road over the weekend. They cut the trees off the wire. Do you know who did it?
No.
Oh, okay. I was just
tried
curious
to find out.
if it was the landowner. Do you know Mr. Goshard?
I believe Verizon did.
Oh, Verizon. Okay. Okay. But as soon as I saw it, I thought of you. I'm like, oh my gosh, they cut the trees.
There's a whole other swath I'll give you. I need to seek access through some township land. We have a sewer right-of-way off of Colonial, right across from Goose Valley, and I have neighbors there, and now I'm going to go in there and clean up all that crap that's down in there. And it's voluminous, let's say. But I was going to try to get the township to mow their right-of-way so we have a place to walk down. I have some motorized wheelbarrows and things, so we can get down there and mule that stuff out of there for the good of the order.
Thank you to Verizon for cutting them down.
It's outstanding. Yeah, and they have more trees in that hollow, so they'll need that to get to their trees also.
But they're off the wires. That's the main thing.
Yes, they are. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Seeing no more individuals for public comment, we're closing public comment and opening chair and board member comments. Do we have any board member comments this evening?
Last night, your Board of Supervisors represented you, the township residents, at the Council of Government Organization meeting, which was held here in Lower Paxton Township. Again, 5 counties that were there, and we were collaborating with other supervisors from all 5 of those counties. So we don't just sit up here on Tuesday night. We are out and about. We were, last Wednesday, we were at the officials organization they had for all the officials in the state of Pennsylvania at the Pennsylvania Farm Show. So we were up there for a couple hours, and again, we're not there for ourselves. We're there to represent you, the residents of Lower Paxton.
Any other board member comments? No. I will reserve my chair comments until the end. May I have the manager's report?
Yeah, just real quick, 'cause had some good news later on this afternoon. Received an email. Lower Paxton Township was successful in getting Commonwealth Finance Authority grant. 2 grants. Cumulative totals $835,000. $500,000 went to the Colonial Park drainage improvements, and $335,000 went to Wilshire Road low pressure sewer extension. So we were happy to see that our legislators are working for us and helping us out. So.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks.
I love to hear that kind of good news. So next on the agenda is planning and zoning presentation for improvement guarantees.
3 improvement guarantees this evening. Wilshire Estates Phase 2, Parkway Farms Phase 1 and 6760 Cornell Road. The Wilshire Estates is, they are establishing a bond, $196,722. So they're extending the time limit, so.
Madam.
The next one is, my apologies. The Parkway Farms Phase 1 McNaughton Company, original grant guarantees $515,104. Current amount in force is $364,891. And that is another extension. Then the 6760 Cornell Road is a new bond, a new request. It is the amount of $11,827. That is to be established. Those are the three this evening.
Thank you. Is that the extent of the improvement guarantees?
Yes.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda, do we have any old business?
I'll make the motion. Yeah, I'll make the motion to accept the improvement guarantees.
I'm sorry, thank you. All in favor?
I
You need a
second
second.
the motion.
All right, do we have any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Hearing no opposition, the improvement guarantees are passed. Next on the agenda, we have old business. Is there any old business? All right, thank you. No old business. We're moving on to new business. We have an action to approve an application for payment number 1 for the 2025 Lower Paxton Township paving project.
Yes, this request, the original contract price was $1,067,241. This payment application request is for $992,566.05. The remaining $74,675.45 is being held to complete a punch list. And will be completed in the spring.
Do I have a motion to vote on the payment for the township paving project for payment number 1?
So moved.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion?
Mike, can I just ask, is that some of the paving over in the Claremont development left from the sewer?
That is part of, that is some parts of this,
Okay.
yes. This is for 2025, it is not for the new one. This is all for last year.
Yeah, right, because that wasn't finished last year. Okay.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of paying the payment application for the township paving project, payment number 1, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion passes. We are now at action to adopt the Active Transportation Plan, Addendum Number 1, the official map.
If you recall last week, the active transportation plan was passed here. If you remember in your packet, I had an addendum to the contract in there from Michael Baker International to take this one step further. Currently, right now, the active transportation plan will just sit there and not generally do anything unless we kind of look at the developers and say, can you please do this or can you please do that? With this addendum, we are going to be we are asking Michael Baker International to create an official map and include this into our official map, so that it provides our community development staff and our recreation staff more teeth when implementing the points of interest and the points of access that we want as we grow. And I'm kind of rushing this a little bit, and I mean, and I don't, if you don't want to move forward as fast, but we are in the process of doing some additional zoning amendments that we can tie this in so that we don't have to do extra public hearings and extra advertisements and those things that cost us money and time. So kind of pushing this forward a little bit. This arose when I was first presented the active transportation plan back in December, and I asked Michael Baker International to provide, and I asked the same questions I think that the staff or that day supervisors asked here. Does this have any teeth? And it does not. It's a standalone document. It'll sit on a shelf if we don't do anything with it. So I know we have Rachel and Nick here from our staff that we're willing to answer any questions you may have. But my recommendation is we would move on this to make sure, because we have some big developments coming up that we will be able to apply this to, and hold the developers' feet to the fire per se, to begin connecting our developments with our neighborhoods, with our parks, and with our shopping districts.
Mr. Gossard, who is the gentleman in the gray hoodie? Yes. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Steve Thomas. I am a project manager with Michael Baker International. Supervisor Thompson, it's good to see you again. I think we last spoke at the open house for the active transportation plan back in August. It's hard to believe it's been that long ago already, but it was a little bit warmer. Yes, we prepared a scope of work and a schedule. We do have a pretty aggressive schedule prepared. We could be looking for an adoption by the April timeframe. There is a significant public comment period, so I do want to reassure the Board of Supervisors that there's ample opportunity within what they call the municipality's planning code. If you have insomnia and you want to try to put yourself to sleep, please read that. That's the planning code that municipalities and counties use in Pennsylvania to guide their work. But there is a 45-day public comment period that we've built into our schedule, so that way planning agencies, the county, and the public at large can have an opportunity to take a look at the document that's been prepared if we proceed with the scope of work as we put forward today. We work with municipal staff to prepare the ordinance and the map itself. We would propose that maybe do a virtual map. It gives an opportunity for folks to go online, navigate the map that's been created. We'd also publish some paper copies just for those residents who don't have access to internet technology. And then we would coordinate with your solicitor to make sure that we're supporting the adoption in a legal manner.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, I got a little bit ahead of my board members. So we've got, may I have a motion to adopt the active transportation plan addendum number 1 official map?
Madam Chair, if it pleases, I would make an action to discuss the proposal for the map as opposed to making an action to adopt at this time. I would like to discuss.
Oh, I was going to offer that once we voted on.
Understood. Then I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay. All right. So may I have?
I make that motion.
All right. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion?
Yes. Having done a fair amount of community development work, I understand working with someone you already know. I understand grasping the momentum of the occasion that's already in progress. But when you use the terms, or excuse me, Mr. Gossard, use the terms create and include. Create implies something new. Include promises the ATV, or alternate transportation plan map, ATP map, that you've developed. Could you please give me an understanding of what are you creating? And then I'm going to also ask for a solicitor's opinion on whether this requires an RFP or whether if we can in fact include it as an addendum to the existing contract that we have with you because of the active transportation plan.
Okay. Number 2 is a very good question. I know there's opportunities for professional services, but the solicitor would be the best one to address that question. So what would be created is a 2-part component. The official map is contained in Section 400 of the municipality's planning code. And it outlines how a municipality may proceed with creating two parts. There's an ordinance that adopts the official map, and then there's an official map itself. It's more alluded to as a land use map. It's not a zoning map. It's not anything like that. But it identifies opportunities for improvements and municipal opportunities, parks and recreation, water and sewer, roadway improvements. Typically, I've seen it in parks. So if there's parcels that the municipality said, hey, we really feel like this is a valuable park area, they can have conversations with the developers when things come up. So what would be created, to your question, is an ordinance in accordance with the municipality's planning code to adopt it. And then there would be an official, the map itself, which would be, again, we would recommend that we do it in a virtual platform. That way it's more dynamic. Folks can zoom in, because folks always like to see where their property is lying at, where the improvements are proposed, the background layers, and data and information, if that helps a little bit.
So it would be an official map of the township as it exists now, and then it would be superimposed with your active transportation plan and maybe any other future planning opportunities that come up. They could use this map to then superimpose that so we could see how the whole township would be affected.
Correct. And to add confusion to chaos, the municipality's planning code does allow for the official map to cover either the municipality in its entirety, or it allows it to focus on specific areas of improvement. Some other communities that I've worked with in my public sector experience, they've said, okay, this interchange of I-81 is our focus area, and that's all their official map covers. There are some municipalities, I believe Susquehanna Township also has an official map. It covers the entire municipality. We would be looking to cover your entire municipality because the active transportation plan looked at your mobility needs across the municipality as a whole. Hopefully that didn't confuse it too much.
Okay, question. So,
Yes, sir.
Was this included in the original scope of work that you presented to us, or is this additional?
This would be an implementation strategy. So we prepared, and what was adopted at the last meeting that I was unable to attend is the active transportation plan
Right.
itself, which sets out policies, guidelines, and initiatives for the municipality to pursue. This would be the next logical step in that process to say, okay, we now have a policy, but in order to put policy into place, you need the regulation that then enforces it. This would be that component.
Okay, all right.
Which is why it was originally not scoped, because the initial RFP that came out 24 months ago was simply for an active transportation plan, which is what we submitted for the RFP on.
Okay, all right, thank you. So that's an additional $14,200 then?
Yes, sir.
To get that work done, all right. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So, look, I mean, I read over the active transportation plan, and frankly, I think you guys did a pretty good job laying it out.
Thank you.
It's comprehensive, it's absolutely needed. So, even if we're talking about economic development, you got to have a transportation plan, right, that fits into that. Mobility, connecting to recreation businesses and so forth. So, I mean, I commend you on that, and it's much needed.
Thank you.
So, are there any other implementation components? Because this is going to be under the policy goal that you guys had. Is there anything else that you guys are going to offer that would be of an additional cost to us?
Unless requested at this time, no. But when we prepare these, we try to identify other steps and action strategies. One of the members of my staff, she specializes in public funding. She's currently busy pursuing build grants, which are at the higher level, but she helps with other opportunities through DCED, and especially for implementation and construction. Those are services that we offer and support. So we try to set our municipalities up for success so that at the end of the day, they have a roadmap forward. Apologize, I'm a transportation planner at heart, so I use a lot of puns. But we try to set that roadmap up so that they understand that there are some next steps that can be taken.
Right, I understand. I just wanted to make sure that we can see down the road, right? I mean, and make sure that if there are any additional services that you offer to us, that you present those, up front, right? So transportation plan is done, and by the way, these are some other additional things that we're having, which may be of an additional cost to you.
Yes.
So that, folks aren't caught by surprise.
Great example. So I just completed and assisted with the Mifflin County Comprehensive Plan up in Lewistown. So upon completion of that, we have a list of items that they could look to pursue if they want to join partnership with us, or if they want to, use HRG or EADS Group, what other firms they have out there. There's a lot of good firms out there. Yes, we try to make sure that you know what the options are to actually implement the plans that you put in place.
I mean, I think it's needed. We got to do MAP, right? To make sure we implement through policy
Correct.
the transportation plan.
Supervisor Shive, last week you asked the gentleman that was here about, is there any cost to this? Can you refresh my memory what you had asked him? And he said, no, there was no cost.
I think I was asking when he referred to the term report card within the active transportation plan, whether the report card obligated the township to continue on with potential implementation of the plan that would cost, which is not this, but I'm just saying if we adopted it, were we mandated and obligated to move forward with anything that we would be committing to?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. And then Nick and Rachel, do you have anything to offer to us about this active transportation plan?
Good evening, Nick Garrett, Community Development. The one item I will offer is that to really put the active transportation plan into effect, there'll have to be an additional amendment. The amendment that I would recommend would be to the subdivision land development ordinance, Article 5, design standards, specifically pedestrian pathways and sidewalks. Language to the effect of that any subdivision and land development plan should be checked for consistency with the active transportation plan, should be within that section of the SAUDO. We may want to speak with the consultant to see if there's clear, more tighter language that should be in place, but at this moment, that would be my recommendation, is have that amendment go forward as well.
Okay, would we have to do that first before it goes forward into the zoning, or?
You will have to get the amendment done first. I mean, the active transportation plan, there's no reason for this to stop, continue, move forward. We also will have to do the amendment, so anytime there's any future plans that come before the township through the planning commission, there would be that requirement to check those standards against that active transportation plan.
Okay.
So, help me out here. When it comes to the implementation of the plan, we have a wonderful plan. As I said, I think it's comprehensive. I think it covers where we are, the current state. It covers policy through zoning and the mapping. It even talked about, one of the goals, institutionalizing the plan, right? Through, for example, a committee, right? A transportation committee. And from my perspective, that's absolutely going to be needed, because it's not just about today. It's about well into the future, and circumstances will change, and we've got to be on top of it, right? So who will be on point, right? Administering, executing, coordinating. There are a lot of folks within this plan. You talk about PennDOT, you talk about stakeholders, internal to the township and external to the township, right? A lot of work needs to be done there. There's work that has to be done from a funding perspective, and I appreciate in the plan it talked about funding sources that we can pursue, right? Accountability, getting the results. At the end of the day, a year from now, 2 years from now, we got to look back at this plan and say, did we do what we say we're going to do? Because I agree, these plans often, they're beautiful, they're wonderful, but then they get stuck on a shelf and nothing happens. So tell me, if I had a question about where we are at any point in time, right, the progress that we've been making, the recommendations of sites that we want to develop, who do I go to? And I don't know, Mike, if you want to answer this, how do we make sure that we're accountable for getting this done?
So I'll take the lead on the first question. So the township's going to have an active transportation plan, but you're still going to be bound by where development's taking place. So in reality, I think the first step would be like, you have a development in a certain part of the township, you want to see what the map would show on the active transportation plan as areas of interest. The active transportation plan, I think, made reference to, what's the acronym? BLOS?
Bicycle level of service.
Right. Okay. Bicycle level of, what was that again?
Service.
Service. And I briefly looked at the plan today before the meeting, and I saw that with the Wenrick development, you're bound by 3 BLOS sections. Lingelstown Road has a BLOS level rating of 4. Wenrick Street has a 3, and Blue Ridge Avenue has a 3 as well. So with the Wenrick development, as that moves forward, you would then review that development for the standards that are associated with the active transportation plan, and that would be your first step on how to get that portion of the plan implemented. Down the line, it really would depend on, okay, where the development is taking place, the developer that would be in charge of basically putting the upfront costs of getting that done. If the township, at their prerogative, wanted to take it upon themselves to seek easements on private property, and I'm not sure what's shown on the plan. I'm probably getting the weeds a little bit.
Let me just stop you there for a second.
Yeah.
So this is not just about development. It's about the current state of play, right, in different locations within the township, right? When you talk about, bike paths and crosswalks and, all of those things that'll help our citizens connect to businesses and to recreational areas, the plan goes into that in detail. One part of it is development. A part of it is the current state, right? Speak to that a little bit, in terms of, let's say, in the Colonial Park area, we want to have a bike path, or how's that going to get done? Who owns that? And again, is there someone or an entity within the township that's going to be looking at this plan to manage the whole process? Again, there's funding, there's maintenance, there is coordination between all the stakeholders, PennDOT, all of those things.
Supervisor Campbell, I would not be able to speak to those questions at this point in time. The only thing that I could speak to would be the form of the fact of development.
I understand that, right. So, that's just my position where I'm seeing, again, beautiful plan, but, and it covers so much, but at the end of the day, there's a lot more than, the development areas. Again, PennDOT. Did PennDOT take a look at this? What do they think? Are they on board? Are they partners with us on this? How extensive, how secure are those funding streams? Are we going to get the money? I mean, what's the available resources, that are going to be out there? So again, I have a lot of questions about it. Again, beautiful plan, but the implementation, I just have some concerns about, because there's so much to it, and it's going to be, I think, a critical part of our long-term growth within the township, a transportation plan. So anyway, I'll pause there, and we can.
Yes, PennDOT was at the table as part of our steering, as well as the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission, which is the metropolitan planning.
Did they look at this?
Yes.
Okay. They saw. Okay. All right.
And I did last week, Supervisor Campbell, I did ask the gentleman that was here, is PennDOT on board with us? And he stood right there and he did say yes. So I'm holding him to that. Yeah.
Yes. What I would say is that, because this is not a PennDOT plan,
I know, but it's a lot of it.
support you
Yeah.
in this initiative.
Because
One
a lot of
last-
the roads are their roads.
One last question, and then I'm done. Because I read through the plan. I read through it extensively. In your opinion, what is the most important factor to implementation? For us to get this done, what is absolutely essential for implementing this active transportation plan, not just for today, right, but on an ongoing basis? And go ahead.
Personally, as a professional planner, doing this for 20-plus years, most of my experience in the public sector itself, I believe that the municipality looking at a transportation or maybe an infrastructure committee is probably a really solid next step. And here's why I'll share that, is that Rachel is involved in your greenway. You have Kevin, who's involved in your public works. You have individuals from law enforcement. You have individuals from community development. Having some internal task force that brings those folks together every 3 months, every 6 months, gives them an opportunity to share what those projects are. In my own little community of Mercersburg, Pennsylvania, I've seen too often where the municipality puts in a new water line, and then or the state pays and then the municipality puts in a water line and everything gets torn up. So having an opportunity to have those internal conversations about what's going on and who can take the next step, I think is probably one of the most important, because we're delivering a valuable product to you, and then a committee would be able to take that.
Okay.
And it's not putting all of the burden on just Rachel or just Mike. It's spreading that burden out.
And that's kind of what I'm thinking as well, and that's kind of what I'm seeing, that you got to do that because it's a long-term proposition, whether it's, Transportation Advisory Committee, and yeah, you would have to be involved, public meetings and so forth, right? To track, monitor, coordinate, work with internal and external stakeholders. So again, from my perspective, that's what I'd like to see happen, right? To get it done so that there's accountability. I think that's the crucial piece of all the goals that you have, the education, enforcement, creating a network of folks. I get all of that, but without that, it's going to be on the shelf. So I'm done.
Okay.
I think one of the things you have to recognize as well, when we are going out looking for grant funding for our trails and whatnot, this being part of our official map shows that we are serious about developing safe routes of travel for our bicyclists, for our walkers, and keeping them off of our streets. One of the things in a community that I work for, I immediately started working towards this process when I popped up over a hill on Jonestown Road, and there was a kid in the middle of the street just riding his bike, and that just was not a place to ride a bike. So I started that process in that municipality, and we started off with getting about $140,000 in grant money to develop the trail plan. Then we put it into effect with our official map, including it in our official map, and that will further us down the road being able to go out and achieve grants and be successful in getting grants. I know we are going to be having a informational session with HRG as soon as we get it scheduled. You will see what they do about going out into the community, into their areas of government and expertise, and being able to be successful in getting us grants. And with this plan, we'll be able to implement and add a lot of new opportunities for grant funding in that process.
Mike, what do you see as far as long-term, how long this is going to take till it actually happens?
It's a 30, 40-year plan. I mean, it is
I was
something,
figuring
it is
we weren't
something
gonna
that
be
will
here.
develop long before, well after you and I are here. I mean, it's just going to, but you got to start the process.
You have to start somewhere.
Right. Yep.
You have to start somewhere. Rachel, sorry, do you have anything you want to add?
I just would agree, being a part of this over the past year and a half, having the internal committee will be vital so that we have all players on the same page.
Okay, great, thank you. And thank you guys for
Thank you.
staying after hours. We appreciate it.
Just want to go back to the motion on hand, excuse me, just back to the map and paying for it. Maybe this sounds like a plebeian question, but do we not have an official map of the township?
Oh, yeah, we have a zoning map.
But that's what they're creating, so we don't have one?
The zoning map essentially is I would think our official map.
Yeah.
Unless the solicitor can correct me, to my knowledge, the municipality does not have an official map as pursuant to Section 400 of the municipality's planning code, which is different than a zoning map, which has to be legally adopted as part of your zoning ordinance. This is a different mapping tool to be used for identifying municipal priorities and improvements.
Okay, and the second question just has to do with funding. And I did ask last week, but I was asking a lot of questions. Where will this particular funding come from? And maybe that's something that Mike has to answer. Maybe it's something Rachel has to answer. Could somebody please tell me where this is budgeted or where we're expected to pay for it from?
We were planning to utilize the CDBG administration funds.
So there was money with the funds set aside for this originally?
With the CDBG, you have to use a certain amount.
Certain in a time period.
Correct,
Right.
towards administration, which I believe it's like 20% of the funds we receive have to go through administrative type projects, and this serves the whole township.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Do we have any more questions from the board members? I have a question for you, Mr. Garrett. Mr. Garrett. So we've got the Weinrich development coming online. How does this official map help us put teeth in requiring them to put bike trails or walking paths in that development?
Well, with the Wenrick development, one of the design guidelines for the NDD is a requirement for the pedestrian pathways and walkways within the development. I think what you're looking at now is how consistent is that development with the active transportation plan. I don't think we would be able to answer that question until the active transportation map is adopted, so we can see where those areas of interest are identified within the township. I can't specifically say what the requirements are of the active transportation plan outside of connectivity within the township, but with the NDD, which is neighborhood design development, there are specific standards on how much trailway must be installed per dwelling units. So that's something that we can speak to. So, I mean, at this time, the best I can say is that it's a tool to be able to adopt the policy of the active transportation plan. But again, depending on when a preliminary plan for the Wenrick subdivision were to be submitted, it may come before any adoption of a official map for the active transportation plan. So in essence, you wouldn't be able to require those standards unless the developer wants to be a good friend and a good neighbor.
All right, thank you. Are there any more board member questions, comments? Hearing none. Yeah. Yes.
In all that discussion, those sidewalks and bike paths, they're within the community, within the NDD. That's correct. But you made a comment about linking the two, so I'm hoping this also alludes to the fact that it's connected with the straight, whatever has to be done to Wenrick, and connecting out to Lingelstown to provide those business lighting, all the businesses to that.
Your mic, Mr. Miller, your mic. Turn it on.
Oh, I'm sorry. To get those connections back out to Lingelstown. I mean, everything's there, but I mentioned it earlier. All that grading and dirt moving is going to have to be done, including the bike paths along Wenrick, the sidewalks down to Balthaser, and any other connections to get back out to Lingelstown, and also back out to the high school, because that second phase, and there's a second phase to this, correct? Of the Wenrick Street property.
It'll be a phased development, correct?
Right, there's another area there that's kind of hash marked out, and it almost extends down to Piketown Road. If I don't have it in front of me, obviously. But those connections can be made. I'm just looking at the further connections, and you mentioned we got to plan out and think ahead and make all these connections down the road. The best thing is we wanted to connect all those. Let's work backwards. What do we need to do to get out to these neighboring things and to have it safe and have it amenable, and who's going to take care of it also? That's a whole nother question. Who maintains it then? Thank you.
I think Nick's operative word was connectivity. I mean, that's the most important word that he said, was that we are, this isn't about what goes on the site, but it's the connectivity into the community or into.
I always just take pause at the one meeting. One of the gentlemen from developing that property stated, they knew me, that we have sidewalks. But they kept skipping past the fact. What about Wenrick Street? What about along the street? What about for the public sector, not within the community, but to connect the community to other areas? And they kind of just kept pushing me away. That concerns me because again, once you break ground and you do all that, and you're going to build those houses in the footer, you're not moving that. It's never going to happen, and we'll never have it. Then who has to try to fix it, and how are you going to do it even remotely safely? It's not going to happen. It has to be from the get-go, from day one. I don't know how they're going to build all the units along Wenrick and not sacrifice some of those, and some of which are cul-de-sacs, which aren't in the NDD. But
Excuse me, Mr. Weaver, I got a question, please. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make sure everybody hears me. As you know, my interest is the bike trail. And I had a conversation with Rachel, and we're working on some things. Has this been tried in this township in the past?
me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Do you know if the idea of bike trails in our area they tried to put these up in the past?
Well, yes and no. I mean, the expert, Rachel, you probably know more about that, but I know on the committee in which I work with,
Okay.
there's a huge importance of having bike trails north, south, east, and west. And I've shared some of that with one of the supervisors, and there are areas where we have some infill that's needed. You'd have to get with DEP, get permission where to put this dirt. And I think we can create a lot of those. And again, the timeline I gave is what you said, 20, 30, 40 years.
Right.
This has to be a long-term plan.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of sewer dirt, and Mr. Kessler, the excavating king, I give him credit, that's his name for it. And we have a dirt bank, and all this stuff goes there. And then we can put it where we need to put it in the future. And this will live on beyond us if we simply have a plan. You are correct.
Okay.
I mean, look at Nye Road, Union Deposit, east and west. Goose Valley Corridor, I call it, east and west. Yeah, that can almost be a bike trail if you fill in a couple of the spots. But it's near a creek. It's a DEP thing. And but where do you get the dirt? We have the dirt. We simply dump it where we need it after we get permission. You put up the, what are those things called, Nick, with the big mesh and the chicken wire? Gabion. Yeah. Gabion baskets, yeah. And that's what the Susquehanna Township did it down there by Shutt Mill. It's an excellent example of how to encroach towards the creek. DEP, bless them, it's in, and it was a wonderful project. The whole road was sliding off into the abyss. And we have a couple of those around here.
The reason I asked was that I received a call from a longtime residents, and they indicated to me that the township had tried this previously, put up signage and attempted this process, and it failed. And they had to remove all the signage. And I inquired why this happened, and they stated that it was a liability issue. Have you heard of anything like that?
No, I'm not a big bike rider, as is kind
Okay.
of evident. But there is a person, and I will speak to him directly. He's on one of your committees. He is an excellent person. He's involved in the not in the Greenway. Oh, the Green Belt. He's phenomenal. He's a huge biker. This guy knows everything. And he's a wealth of resources, and I'm sure he would probably be more than willing to give you more than his 10 cents worth. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Packer.
Good evening, John Packer, 5723 Kenwood Ave. Just, I guess, piggyback on all this conversation on this. I was here last week and heard the presentation, and now we're, I guess, jumping to the next level. And Mr. Campbell, I appreciate all your comments. It appears you've put quite a bit of thought into this, and I have sort of as well, maybe not to the depth, but using the Wenrick Street, development. And again, I'm just going to try and be simple because I'm a simple person. It sounds to me as if, according to Nick, there's plenty that you can do to get the developers to abide with whatever they're doing within their development. But this plan is also talking about, as the gentleman spoke last week, okay, well, we want to be able to go from the development to shop or bowling or whatever it is, whatever event you're going to. So to me, that leads us to a practical and a feasibility to implement.
is it really going to be practical to go from the Wenrick Street development? Where are you going to go shopping? What's close? Essentially nothing. So what is really the feasibility of putting in these trails and making them go somewhere and then have somebody use them? Am I correct in that assumption though, Nick, as far as you have some say in the developers where they're developing, but do you have say to, what's it say, put a bike path from Wenrick Street development to Linglestown?
I'll speak to the standards within subdivision land development. Depending on what the language, how the language reads, you're mostly focusing on what is owned and maintained by the developer when it comes to connectivity. As sidewalks, pedestrian pathways, specific to Wenrick development, that ordinance gives you connectivity to Linglestown Road, Blue Ridge Avenue, Wenrick Street. As for the active transportation plan, I really can't speak to how that will work to get a resident from that development to other parts of the township. I simply don't know that information yet. So I wish I could give you all a better answer on some of those questions I've received tonight. But I would have to punt to the consultant to find out how that exactly works. I really couldn't speak to that at this time.
So I know that within the plan, you have recommended sites that you would want us to consider for bike paths, trails, and it is based upon their current connectivity to businesses, recreation. So I'm thinking, not looking at development now, that you would take a look at those recommended sites that you put in the plan and say, okay, how can we connect the citizens to the recreation, to the businesses within those sites that you recommended, right? Draw up a plan, look to get funding, and build it.
So
Right.
the active transportation plan identified through the bicycle priority network, and one thing I would say about bicycle improvements especially and pedestrian improvements, it's the right size at the right time. That we're not recommending that there's 6-foot separated bike paths all over the community because that's not the right fit. There are sections that's feasible. There's sections that there's not. I believe someone did mention about liability. That's good question for the attorney. But everything we design and we recommend is in accordance with the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which is an even more government-laden document, but it talks about the bicycle and pedestrian improvements and signage and where they're applicable by federal standards and where they're not. So that's what we follow. So we ensure that the client is getting a legal document. What I would say with the official map is where it takes the active transportation plan that one step further is in the simplest terms, if you have parcel A and parcel B, and you're like, we really want these two to connect, because we all have seen the communities where you can bike to your friend's house in your neighborhood, but you can't bike to your friend's house adjacent. What the official map would do is we'd say, okay, we want to create this connection, and maybe it's a separation of 500 feet. It'd give the municipality the opportunity to say, we're going to take that easement area, and we're going to put this in. And then now, to Mr. Gossard's point, we can pursue grant funding because we've already got it. We've got it locked in. It allows the municipality to have those conversations with the developer before, as this gentleman said, before the ground is even turned over. Because we all know once ground gets turned, it's very difficult to go back. So the official map gives the municipality the opportunity to engage in those conversations at the paper process as opposed to the construction process.
If I may, can I interpose here just for a moment? And I want to take us back to, you don't need to speak, what this motion is. And I just want to read the proposal because a lot of these comments, disappointed to say, should have taken place during the public meetings when the active transportation plan was being put into effect, or even before the councils or boards before us chose to do an active transportation plan, but we have one. The only thing that's on the table right now and on for motion is whether we want to pay Michael Baker to propose or to make a map to create and to include a map that identifies and maps existing and proposed public lands and facilities that are reserved for future taking or acquisition for public use. I just want to get back, or we could be here for hours promoting whether or not we can bike from Linglestown to Colonial Park in 40 years. But I do want to just please bring this conversation back. We have motions on the table, and either, I propose either we table it for future discussion or we actually go ahead with our vote.
Thank you, Supervisor Scheib. Closing the discussion, I would like to have a motion to pass the addendum to accept the official map for the active transportation plan.
Madam Chair, I think we already have a motion on a second. I know it's been a while since those took place.
It's been a while,
but
sorry. And do I have a second?
I think there was a second, yes.
All right. So all in favor of accepting the official map for the active transportation plan?
Aye.
Aye.
With the solicitor's suggestion that we do not have to RFP, I vote aye.
Aye. Hearing no dissent, the motion passes. We are now at the place on the agenda where we will be hearing from the Township Treasurer, Kate Scheib.
Good evening. I've had the opportunity to review bills for payment for the township, and I would like to make a motion that the check on demand register bills be paid. They amount to a total of less than $10,000. In addition to that, I would like to include the sewer authority check register bills in the amount of $491,055.14. And finally, those that are listed on the township check register in the amount of $1,639,436.29.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We've paid the bills for Lower Paxton Township. Do we have any announcements? So I would like to make an announcement. On last Friday, Chief Kashiba served his last day as the interim township manager, the assistant interim township manager. During our transition period, he stepped in and came upstairs from his law enforcement position to help us out, and we greatly appreciated his time up here with us, helping us get through this transition time. He was a wonderfully refreshing change to what we had experienced before. So I would just like to express my thanks and gratitude for him essentially doing two jobs for several months.
If I can add to that too, I want to thank Director Kashiba for, again, coming upstairs, making some positive changes, and we just got to make sure we can keep him here.
So again, my thank you as well. He stepped up, right, when we needed him to step up. And so, I definitely want to thank him, sacrificed his time, again, had two jobs. And from day one, very inviting and cordial and, very engaged in the whole process. So thank you, Director Kashiba.
I would also like to thank him. Director Kashiba, he does an amazing job. He's great for our community and has been since he's been here. He does an amazing job, and I also like to thank his officers and his staff, because those guys are great. So thank you, Director Kashiba.
All right, thank you. I would like to go back to the 250 announcements. I'm going to be doing these, as I said at the last meeting. for the next couple of months. With regards to the 250 celebration, we need people to organize parade floats, baking and flower display competitions, family games, promotion and marketing, make nominations for the Spirit of Volunteerism Awards. And I will be speaking probably at the next meeting on getting names from the community for veterans to participate in our flag ceremony, but I don't quite have all the details this evening. Thank you very much. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
May I have a second? Meeting is adjourned.